today's video, going to have a look at the weather for the next few days actually today. Got some really wet weather coming up tomorrow across England and Wales. Going to have a look at that. Then I'll have a look at the end of the week into the weekend, some question marks about that. And then finally we'll have a look at weather going out into next week and towards the bank holiday period. So we've got a lot of ground to cover in today's video. I'll get on with it in a moment. Just want to mention the advertising. There's a video ad sitting above my web video at GavsWeatherVids.com. Please play the video ad. You'll be supporting GavsWeatherVids.com by doing that. So we're going to start off with the facts charts. These are the human interpretation of the models by the forecasters at the UK Met Office, and this is for lunchtime tomorrow, 12 o'clock midday tomorrow. We've got low pressure down to the southwest. We're generally under a slack area of low pressure across the country, but it's this hook of low pressure, this cold front or triple point actually, a warm front, cold front, and then this hook back around the low pressure that's of interest really, because that's developing down to the southwest, and it is going to be pushing northwards and eastwards across England and Wales through the course of Tuesday. So if we go on to midnight on Wednesday morning, that low pressure there is sitting right over the top of the British Isles, over the top of England, and it's producing a lot of heavy rain. Have a look at the high resolution NAE model, which is the high resolution model from the UK Met Office. You can find this at the website Weather Online. We see about for 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, we've got heavy rain already coming into Southern Ireland and the southwest approaches. Elsewhere, probably dry away from northwest Scotland and northwestern England, where there could be some showers. But as we move on through the course of Tuesday, that rain will really develop down to southwest, getting very heavy through the morning across southern Wales, southwestern parts of England, gradually starting to spread across southern counties as well. And then as we go through into 6 o'clock in the evening, some very wet weather by then across the whole of England and Wales. A suggestion there for a little bit of snow possible over the high ground of southern and western parts of Wales, so maybe over some of the Welsh hills there could be a few flakes of snow mixed in, but it's really a rain event with this, some heavy rain through the course of Tuesday afternoon, a proper washout sort of afternoon for much of England and Wales. And then that rain is still there as we go on in towards midnight on Wednesday morning. Some very wet weather now across many parts of the Midlands, down in towards eastern parts of Wales again. Could be some snow over the high ground, over the mountains of Wales, but really heavy rain now across much of England. It's not quite as heavy in the far south. It is starting to clear some western parts of Wales and southwestern England, but generally there's a lot of heavy rain still going on at midnight on Wednesday morning. And then through into 6 o'clock Wednesday, that rain is finally starting to push out in towards the North Sea, but it's still there. Really, that's the occlusion there, hooking back around that low pressure. It's still there for northeast England, down in towards Midlands, even at 6 o'clock in the morning. So this is many hours of heavy rain to come across England and Wales through tomorrow and into Wednesday. So the total precipitation forecast from the NAE model, the high resolution model, is anything between around 50 and 60 millimetres, 25 and 60 millimetres there. There's one specific area, which is northern parts of Midlands down in towards eastern Wales, that appears to get anything up to 60 millimetres. So I think that's overdone. I think it's going to be more likely 25 to say 40 millimetres, so around an inch to half an inch, around an inch to an inch and a half, really almost anywhere across England and Wales, but probably particularly through the Midlands down in towards eastern parts of Wales. I think that could bear the brunt of this particular rainfall event. And obviously there will be risk of flash flooding with that, particularly if you live near a river, and of course the roads are going to be very wet as well. So a lot of rain to come through the course of Tuesday and into Wednesday. Now as we go beyond that, we're looking at the weekend. Still some question marks about the weekend. I mentioned it in the weekend forecast on Saturday, but I wasn't sure what was happening at the end of the weekend. The reason is that we've got low pressure developing through central parts of Europe, around France and into Germany. We're bringing up some very warm air to the east of that low pressure. Very hot air across eastern Europe is developing this week, and that's going to fuel the low pressure. So there's the upper air temperatures for Saturday, some really high upper air temperatures in the east, up to 15 Celsius and 850 HPA. That's proper hot air coming out of the eastern Mediterranean. So that's going to fuel the low pressure in the central parts of Europe. It's going to turn very wet across central parts of Europe, torrential rain and thunderstorms. But whether that low pressure gets to us, I'm not really convinced about it. I think it's going to stay on the other side of the North Sea. So this is the chart for midnight on Sunday. The main area of low pressure then is sitting across Denmark and the Low Countries and northern parts of Germany. That will be producing some really heavy rain, some torrential thunderstorms, and it could threaten the eastern side of the British Isles. I think really the evidence today is that the low pressure should stay more or less on the other side of the North Sea and not threaten the eastern side. Now I was going to Monday, the low pressure then is in the North Sea, actually is a weakening feature, but I think this low pressure is probably going to stay across the continent, but it does need watching closely, because if it gets to eastern and southeastern parts of England, there is the potential for some really heavy and torrential rain. This is the ECMWF, that was GFS, this is the ECMWF for Saturday. That low pressure again is sitting there across Germany and the Low Countries. That's where it's producing some very heavy torrential rain. We've got the heat going up on the eastern side of the low pressure across Eastern Europe. That's fueling the low pressure. And does the ECMWF bring that low pressure into the British Isles? No, it doesn't really. It keeps it on the other side of the North Sea, centred somewhere around the Low Countries, northern Germany and Denmark. But it may be close enough. It's certainly close enough to produce a cold and quite a strong northerly wind down this eastern side of the coast, down the east coast. It may get close enough to bring some heavy rain into East Anglia and the southeast. It does need watching very closely. There's the upper air temperatures from the ECMWF, just showing how that warmth is fueling that area of low pressure. But eventually, as we're going towards the start of next week, Monday the 20th, that low pressure then is a weakening feature over Denmark, and we're beginning to ridge in the high pressure from the southwest. So the ECMWF and the GFS suggesting that the low pressure will really stay to the east. GEM, the Canadian model, again, the low pressure is there across central parts of Europe on Saturday. Does it get to us? It doesn't really. It remains over Central Europe or over northern Germany and Denmark through into Sunday. It's close enough to produce that northerly wind. As I say, we will have quite a chilly wind down the eastern side, but I think basically the precipitation should stay on the other side of the North Sea. But it's close run thing. It does need watching closely. And then as going to Monday the 20th, that low pressure there is moving away up towards Scandinavia, bringing in another low pressure from the Atlantic, but we keep that area of low pressure to the east with the torrential rain away from us. Now beyond this, as we go into the latter stages of next week, look at this, the ECMWF is suggesting we're going to build high pressure very, very nicely at the end of next week. This is for 10 days away. 240 hours, Thursday the 23rd of May, just heading in towards the bank holiday weekend, and we've got a lovely build of high pressure there across the country from the ECMWF. Unfortunately, that's a bit on its own. If we have a look at the GFS model for the same time period, Thursday the 23rd of May, the low pressure is really to the west of the country. We're not building that high pressure. Actually, we're developing northern blocking there of the GFS this morning from Greenland to Scandinavia, and this low pressure will be keeping it quite unsettled over the British Isles. And finally for the GEM, well, that's got the low pressure sitting in the North Sea there on Thursday the 23rd of May. The high pressure is ridging out to the west of the country. So the evidence there is that the ECMWF, with its idea this morning that we're going to build high pressure strongly at the end of next week, is a bit on its own, and it's more likely that we'll go towards the latter stages of next week with low pressure still having some sort of an influence, but we're going to keep an eye on it. It's running up to the bank holiday period, so I'm keeping an eye on the bank holiday weekend anyway, so I'll be keeping a close eye on this. I'll probably be doing another bank holiday update this evening actually, so I'll come back that around 7 o'clock. But it looks like we're in for some really wet weather across England and Wales tomorrow and into Wednesday, and then we're looking out at to showery period through the rest of the week, and into the weekend we've got to watch that low pressure over Central Europe. Looks as though it's going to stay on the other side of the North Sea, but it's a close run thing. It could threaten the east with some torrential rain. I'll be keeping an eye on that. And then the questions for next week, quite uncertain going out to the 10-day to 2-week period. That's it for now. Hope you found the video interesting. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.